Good afternoon. The Independent Electoral Commission is expected to file papers at the Constitutional Court today or tomorrow to have the local government election date postponed. The Moseneke inquiry has recommended that the October elections be postponed until February next year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Cooperative Governance Minister Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma announced yesterday that she was proclaiming the 27th of October 2021 as a date for elections, but said she was not seeking to contradict the Moseneke report and was merely fulfilling her office's constitutional obligations. Let's get more on that story now. Our political reporter Natasha Phiri is live for us. A very good afternoon to you, Natasha. Just explain what's happening.
Well, very good afternoon to you, Nzing, and of course to our SABC viewers. But actually, to explain further, I'm actually joined by Mr. Phiri, and of course he'll talk us through the heads of argument of the IEC's urgent court application to the Constitutional Court. As you've heard earlier on, the IEC will be filing that urgent court application this afternoon. Mr. Phiri, thank you so much for your time, and thanks for joining us on SABC News. I mean, just first and foremost, just quickly summarize the heads of argument for the IEC taking the application to the Constitutional Court.
The central thesis of the court application is that in light of COVID and the response by government to the COVID pandemic and the restrictions placed on political contestants and the inability of the Electoral Commission to run a registration weekend to register people ahead of an election, if it were to proceed on the 27th of October, will not be constitutionally compliant. For that reason, we ask the court to grant us an extension or a deferral of an election date to a date no later than February in order to ensure that we can run an election that is both safe, free and fair.
Now, yesterday the Minister has proclaimed and gazetted the date of the elections to the 27th of October. You've also further additionally asked that the Minister withdraw that date to actually next year in February.
The Commission takes no issue with the proclamation by the Minister yesterday. We understand that in the absence of any court order, the Minister is compelled to exercise her legal obligation, i.e. to proclaim an election to take place on the 27th of October. As we speak, there is a live election and we are preparing to undertake all activities in support of that election, while on the other hand, we are launching an application out of the ConCourt to ask for a court to defer the elections, principally because we know that those elections will not meet the constitutional standard.
Let's also talk about the voters' roll. I mean, the proclamation of the elections now means that the voters' roll is actually sealed. We heard earlier on from Mr. Mamavulo saying that you've got 25.7 million registered voters. Yes, of course, earlier on I'd asked the issue about the voters' roll. If you just take us through that again. Since it's sealed, if the Constitutional Court then does grant the IEC's application of postponing, the elections to next year in February, what then needs to happen?
As it relates to the proclamation, one of the key implications of proclamation is that at midnight on the day of the proclamation, the voters' roll is closed for that election, meaning all persons who are not on the roll by that day cannot be included on the roll for purposes of an election on the 27th of October. If the court were to grant an order deferring the elections to a later date, the Commission will have an opportunity to organize and mount a general voter registration weekend in the period of low transmissions.
And of course, the issue of by-elections. You had one more outstanding by-election that was postponed. We also heard Mr. Mamavulo somewhat addressing the issue, saying that the IEC needs to then seek legal advice on the matter because the term of municipal council has actually ended yesterday, which, marks 5 years since the last elections on the 3rd of August 2016.
It did, and we are in uncharted territory, unprecedented circumstances. The term of the municipal councils has indeed come to an end yesterday. So the issue is, can you elect a person into a body whose term has expired? However, there's another consideration. If the court grants a deferment and the life of municipal councils are resuscitated and extended beyond the 1st of November. In those circumstances, can we still have by-elections? We are considering those matters, and in a matter of time, we should be much clearer than we are today.
I know off the record you said you can't comment much on it, but could I please put you on the spot? We know what's happening in the city of Johannesburg. Unfortunately, the mayor, the late mayor, Jeff Makubo, was taken by, COVID-19. You now have a process where that position is vacant, and the city of Johannesburg is in a process of, electing a new mayor, voting in a new mayor. What then happens in that situation?
Okay. On this understanding that there is a live election on the 27th of October, it will be competent for a municipal council to fill a vacancy on any of its on its executive committee members, because the election must be held within 90 days of the expiry, which is by the 1st of November. So in the intervening period, the councils are competent to replace executives on their councils.
And how confident are you of the IEC's case?
We do not want to appear as though we are presenting a fait accompli to the Apex Court. However, we think we are making cogent constitutional arguments that require the Constitutional Court to balance exceeding important rights of citizens. The right to life, bodily integrity, on the other hand, respecting the political rights as guaranteed in Section 19. We hope that we have placed a bona fide case in front of the court, and that case is grounded in science. And also, more importantly, is that if the elections on the 27th were to proceed, those elections may be challenged on the basis that the voters did not have opportunity to register, aspirant candidates did not have opportunities to register, and or to re-register in geographic areas in which they wish to contest.
I know you can't answer for the courts or preempt anything, but how soon does the Commission expect an answer from the Constitutional Court, or ruling rather?
I suppose the question goes beyond the Electoral Commission. The entirety of the Republic requires clarity. So we hope that the court is able to find that there's agency in the matter, that it grants us direct access, and that it finds an opening in its heavy workload to accommodate this court application in order to get clarity on vexed constitutional rights, constitutional matters.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your time. Always a pleasure having you on the channel. Well, there you have it, and Nzinga from the Deputy Chief Electoral Officer, Mr. Shiburi, just talking us through the heads of arguments that the IEC would be, applying or sending to the Constitutional Court. Of course, if the members of the public want to actually, see that court application or actually, view it, they can view it on the IEC's website. But as for me, Natasha, Phiri, and the team here in Centurion, it's back to you in studio.
Thanks so much for that update, Natasha, Phiri. As tributes continue to pour in for late actor and producer Shona